Ladies and gentlemen, a new snapshot for Minecraft Java Edition 1.17, the Caves and Cliffs Update Part 1 has arrived. Here is 21w16a with some new nifty features for Azalea and Dripstone, as well as a bunch of changes to the preview worlds that you get if you run the Caves and Cliffs preview data pack, and a boatload of bug fixes. My name is slicedlime, I'm here to guide you through all of these changes. And let's start with the blocks and items. There's new functionality for Dripstone. A Dripstone can now grow. If a stalactite is hanging from a Dripstone block with a water source above it, then it will slowly grow both the stalactite hanging there, but also a stalagmite from below. The growth speed is random, it's based off of random ticks, and it is pretty slow. A single step can take several in-game days. The maximum a stalactite will grow is up to 7 blocks, and the stalagmite will only grow if the floor or stalagmite below it is within 10 blocks. If the stalactite tip is inside of water, it won't drip, and therefore it also won't grow. And if the stalagmite tip is inside of water, it won't receive any drops, and therefore won't grow. And in fact, a stalagmite or stalactite will never grow into any fluid whatsoever. And another block change, Infested deepslate can now be rotated just like normal deepslate. That also means that if a silverfish infests a deepslate block, then it no longer rotates to its upright position. Let's move on to gameplay. Azalea and flowering azalea can now be bone mealed. This gives you an azalea tree. This is the top part of the tree without the root system that you will find leading down to a lush cave. If you used bone meal on a sapling that was on a moss block, then it consumed the bone meal, but it didn't grow. That is fixed in this version. And more bone meal changes. The patches of moss that you get from bone mealing a moss block have been tweaked. There's now a lower amount of vegetation on top. The maximum size of the patch has been lowered, and instead they have more irregular edges. They're not as square anymore. Moss also required a block of air above the replaceable block to spread. That is also changed in this version. Let's keep on the bone meal track. Applying bone meal to a waterlogged big drip leaf stem would create more waterlogged big drip leaf stems. That is fixed in this version. Anvils could become damaged when they fell, even when they only fell 1 block. That is fixed in this version. And loyalty tridents would simply disappear if your inventory was full when they return to you. Now they will spin around you like they did before. Let's move on to mobs. Mobs didn't avoid lava cauldrons when pathfinding, despite setting themselves on fire when they walked over it. That is fixed in this version. Baby axolotls will take damage when touching a solid block from below. That is fixed in this version as well. And the glow squids and axolotls no longer spawn inside of monuments. Let's talk about some fixes and changes for world generation. In the previous snapshot there was a bug where emerald ore didn't generate as it should. That is fixed in this version. Emerald ore is now back to its previous generation. When copper, coal and emerald ores generated inside of a deepslate patch, then it didn't turn into a deepslate version of that ore. That is fixed in this version. Glow lichen could generate underwater even when not in a cave. That is also fixed in this version. And cobwebs no longer generate as if supported by chains inside of a mineshaft. Finally, azalea trees could generate inside of lakes, even completely submerged. That is fixed in this snapshot. There are also fixes in this version for worlds that you get if you apply the preview pack for Caves and Cliffs. That is, if you start a world with the new version of the Caves and Cliffs preview pack, then you get this stuff. Aquifers below height 0, that is on negative y coordinates, will sometimes be lava aquifers instead of water aquifers. And large ore veins now generate. They are rare and snake-like underground formations of ore and a mixed-in stone type. That means that you can follow that type of stone to find more and more ores. There are 2 types of these. There are copper veins forming above height 0, and those are mixed with granite, and iron veins forming below height 0, mixed in with tuff. Again, remember that if you want to see those fixes, you need to apply the Caves and Cliffs preview data pack, and that pack has been updated for this snapshot, so you need to apply the correct one. There's a download link, of course, in the Minecraft.net post, and I will include that link also in the video description. Let's talk a little bit about user interface changes. Recipes and advancements that you should be granted when you craft things didn't actually get granted until you closed the user interface. That is fixed in this version. There's an added language as well in this version. It is for Hong Kong Chinese. Let's talk about the statistics screen. There is a new statistic in this version. It is called Time with World Open. That is the same as the playtime, but it also includes the time when the game was paused. If you've been following the speedrunning community for Minecraft recently, then you might have an idea of why this is. More statistics fixes. The statistics screen sometimes didn't show the latest information, especially when you open the statistics several times in a row. That is fixed in this version. You will now always see up-to-date statistics when you open the screen. And then a large number of statistics didn't actually trigger when you used various items. That went for placing a candle on a cake, applying a glow ink sac, an ink sac, or a dye to a sign, using a bucket to take powder snow, lava, or water from a cauldron, or using a filled bucket of any of those materials to place that fluid inside of the cauldron, using glass bottles to take water from a cauldron, using glass bottles or shears to harvest material from a beehive or bee nest, or using shears to carve a pumpkin, for equipping elytra or armor by right-clicking when you had it selected on the hotbar, using a flint and steel or a fire charge to ignite TNT, using a firework rocket to fly. Also, there were some situations where you would get statistics increased, but the action didn't actually happen. That includes situations where you tried to use a debug stick, but you didn't have sufficient permissions to use it, or food that is also plantable on the ground would count as if planted when you started eating it. All of those fixed in this version. Let's move on to visual fixes in this version. There are new textures for a number of the raw metal items and blocks. That is for the blocks of raw gold and raw iron, as well as the items for raw copper, gold, and iron. The model of the small drip leaf has been tweaked, and a number of rendering bug fixes have been done. That applies to entities that didn't stop glowing after losing the glowing effect, cast fishing lines not being properly connected to the fishing rod, and mysterious pixels in the upper corner of the recipe book icon. Finally, glow lichen now has a unique color on maps. And that leaves us only with a stability fix in this version, where a large amount of slime or honey blocks would crash the game. That is fixed. Now, even with that fix, snapshot versions are testing versions and can crash your game or even corrupt your world. So if you play this version, make sure you do so on a backup of your world or on a separate test world. Remember, any world that you open in a snapshot can never be safely downgraded to any previous version again, so take care. If you want to play this version but you don't know how to, then click on the link in the iCard on the video right now or in the video description. That'll take you to a tutorial video about how to get and play a Minecraft snapshot. And those are all the gameplay changes in this version. If you're also interested in the technical changes, like changes to commands, scoreboards, tags, and custom world generation, then stick around on the channel. There will be a second video with the technical changes right after this one, and if it's already done, then it will be here on an iCard in the corner and also in the video description, so click on that to take you right there. Otherwise, keep an eye on the channel. I also want to say a thank you to some people who helped out in the making of this videos. Thank you so much to Jockcool, Veguid, and Noinancer for your assistance on this video. I hope you found this update video useful, and if you did, please help me out in return. Leave a like, drop a comment, or share it with a friend. Any interaction that you do with this video helps out the channel in the grand lottery that is the YouTube algorithm, so I do appreciate if you do so. If you are interested in keeping up to date with all the changes to Minecraft Java Edition, then please subscribe to the channel. I make update videos for every new snapshot, pre-release, release candidate, and full release. And if you do so, please also hit the bell icon so YouTube will notify you when the videos are done. My name is slicedlime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.